if you look at his takeaway, his face angle is perfectly matching his spine angle. And then when you look at his face angle relative to his spine angle at post impact, it's again perfectly matched in his spine angle. So it's perfectly open. It's like perfectly closed and perfectly open.
And just really feel that lead thumb, just like controlling
yeah,
because you
have to get basically control. It's like the thumb is controlling the toe, like the top edge of the toe. And the pinky pad is controlling like the inside part of the heel. So when you take those back, it's like you're controlling those 4 points.
Right. Is close. Understand that the golf swing is 90% hands and arms. It used to be. Like back in the 20s and 30s with Harry Vardon and Henry Cotton and all these guys, they were saying that it was 90% hands and arms. Where did that get lost? Like, why? Why did we lose that? How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Cause and Effect podcast, where we introduce the cause and effect relationships that exist in golf in relation to the hand to handle to face relationships. Episode 35, PGA Championship week, exciting week. Last week was good too. I mean, we're going to analyze, in this episode, we're going to analyze DJ. He went to a playoff with Cam Smith and Brandon Grace at Live. That was really good. Cam Smith shot 61 on the final day. Dude's just an absolute animal. He's my pick for the PGA this week. I'd love to see him do good and win. Another major. I read somewhere that said that Cam Smith wasn't even going to get a press conference at the PGA Championship because he's not like part of the PGA Tour anymore or something. It's like
you can expect these things to happen. I mean,
but he just won the Open Championship last year.
I mean,
it's like
if you're on Live,
but,
I mean, it's just
I guess you're kicked to the curb, I guess. But I hope he does good. And then we're going to talk about Jason Day too. It was funny. I released a piece of content a couple days ago talking about like the pinches and the importance of them, of like kind of concentrating your pressure of like the knuckle pads against the handle properly. And two of the people I mentioned were Jason Day and Scotty Scheffler.
Right.
And Jason Day ended up winning, and Scotty Scheffler finished, I think he finished third. He missed his birdie putt on 18, but it was pretty wild. Like Jason Day, what a random, like for me to say him when I was doing that video. And then he wasn't even in contention at that point. I think he had a really good last couple of days. So we're going to analyze Jason Day as well. He's really, really like pinch perfect. Like it's impressive. He's not as strong as we like typically recommend.
Right.
But so exciting episode this week. Jonathan and I are back teaching, which is fun. So we're seeing same patterns, same stuff that we've seen for a lot of years. Back to the basics. So we're going to talk about just some things we've been working on with our students that we think will help you guys a lot. Some of the common things that we're seeing, common patterns, low point issues, claw issues.
Right.
And also exciting announcement too is I know we talked about the compact club was going to kind of go on the back burner for a little bit as we redesigned it. And we realized as we were redesigning it that it kind of lost its character. It lost its kind of integrity. And because when you redesign something for high quantities, you have to kind of design it to be injection molded and all that fancy stuff.
Right.
And we didn't like how it looked. So we're like, you know what? Forget this. We're going to keep making these. So we're going to keep making them. We're still getting really good response for everybody that owns them. Thank you for all the support we've been getting. If you have one, grab it right now because you're going to need it. Because this episode is going to be a really good one, talking about how DJ does things a little bit differently than Jason Day, and we could even throw Cam Smith into the equation too. I think
it's all about lead thumb prints on the handle and trail palm against lead thumb knuckle.
Right. So we always talk about like the lead hand is the pivot point, right? And then the trail hand is just pivoting around that. And I'm going to talk about in my own swing. I'm going through a big transition right now of how my trail hand is pushing against my lead thumb knuckle and how that's actually helping me with a lot of things that I was kind of doing wrong in my swing. It's like a 5-for-1 special right now.
Oh, totally.
Like I'm literally just focusing on this one thing and it's fixing this. So for the average person that's watching, you'll be able to learn a lot from that. So let's just jump right into it though. I think we should kind of just talk about the winners of the week.
Yep. So let's go DJ first.
You want to go DJ first?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So a little different than Jason Day and Cam Smith. And let's talk about it.
So the one difference really with DJ is that everyone knows he bows his lead wrist in the backswing. Okay. So, which means he shuts the club face like this. And because of that, he doesn't have the perfect like short pinch or like short thumb like we've talked about with claws, like for a strong grip. He goes more neutral and then elongates the thumbprint down the shaft a little bit to where it allows him to be a little bit more mobile with flexion. Because with flexion, if you have a short thumb, it drastically shuts the club face more so than if you have a little longer thumb. With the like it's more in your palm, so it doesn't have as much of like a direct influence on the club face.
Oh, got
So
it. So there's not going to be as like much gear effect at the bottom
correct.
of the swing.
Yeah.
So a lot of gear effect. That's a recipe for
Correct.
disaster. I gotcha.
So he uses like a neutral lead hand position. We'll say lead thumbprint is at like opposed to 12 o'clock straight up and down on the super stroke grip. He's at like maybe about 1:30, 2 o'clock. Okay. And then with the trail hand, it's perfectly strong and perfectly pinched. And that V is going basically at his trail shoulder.
Nice. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yep.
You said you like how his trail hand's very strong.
It's very impressive, actually, that his first position, like when you look at his like grip positioning on the club with his trail hand, it is more in a like again like for a strong grip person, like it's really on the trail side of the club, perfect pinch, and then when he goes back, he sets it back to where he basically in his first move, like he doesn't do anything except presets his wrists and his arms and locks his elbows. And then from there, as we call it, like the functional unit, claws and swing triangle, he just keeps pushing and stretching that to the top and then goes underneath, like from the top to pre-impact, and then just pushes and then maintains a perfectly like skyward grooves to the sky position at post-impact, which is very impressive.
It's super impressive, and it's actually like polar opposite of where it's at in the takeaway.
Right. One thing I used to do with his golf swing when I used to teach is with video is like, if you look at his takeaway, his face angle is perfectly matching his spine angle. And then when you look at his face angle relative to his spine angle at post impact, it's again perfectly matched in his spine angle. So it's perfectly open. It's like perfectly closed and perfectly open.
And that's
so
what we
his
say,
gear effect is
got it.
perfectly supported. And that's why he's a great player. But I think a lot of it has to do with his very first move of just presetting like the hands and arms and locking it, like preset the hammer, now just stretch it back and then, you know, understand what to do with it from there.
For the average golfer, I mean, I do this a lot with my students. It's probably one of the most common drills I do. We call it the preset drill. And you're really just presetting your hands to where they're actually going to be at impact, right? And for the average golfer that doesn't actually like feel the proper, like we say with the fingers up, fingers back, fingers around, it's a great way to just really activate your wrists and activate your claws, because a lot of people never feel that ever.
Right.
And it's the best drill, I think, for anybody. Yeah.
It just helps you understand again where you're going. So
exactly.
Why not do it? Be decent.
You said one thing with DJ too is that when he gets to the top, he kind of like opens the face in the downswing.
Well, because if you shut it like this in the backswing, then you have to go in a clockwise rotation underneath to support like the gear effect. And then from there, he's just pushing, and then you'll see the face like properly maintained open. But he has to have from the top, when you shut the face this much, he has to have like an increase in clockwise rotations with lead hand and arm. Scientifically, it's like internal lead, external trail hand and arm rotation.
And that's like the big thing when you see like guys like Genghis and stuff, and they're basically getting their people like max bowed and then feel that like drop
the underneath move.
Correct. I got it. Okay.
Right.
And then that gets it. So when it's coming into the ball, it's not too shut.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
In my opinion, though, and this is why we're strong grip advocates, is like whenever you have shots that you hit where the face is too close to the target, it's never fun. Like contact becomes a really big problem. Direction, it wrenches your body. Like the face has to be properly open to the target when you strike the golf ball, especially from pre-post impact with the gear effect. Like that is the key thing that everyone's sharing in common, like on tour,
and I
is
think,
just making sure of that.
And I think this is just a fad that's going on right now in golf instruction, where everybody's trying to get the face so shut, trying to get their students like the Genghis model is just a fad right now that I don't think is going to stick around for very long, because it's
a scientific methodology that actually does make sense.
If you're like super athletic.
So the idea is like, imagine that like with your lead hand, because it's like more neutral on the club for a weak grip, and then you bow, it's like, it's more relative to your wrist is basically what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
Like it's like the angles are all the same matching, but with a strong grip, you turn it over and honestly just let it twist and then hold that and then push down and let it thump itself and release. And that's
yeah,
it. It's like, that's one thing too, is that we are going to talk a lot about when you do twist back, that you have to push down properly against the handle to allow the gear effect to happen from the heel to toe relationship of the face.
correct.
So you get the proper rotation effects, because it's not like we're just coming in holding, like the handle's just moving forward and the face is never catching up and you're just holding it open the whole way. It's like, no, of course it's not going to work.
That's why, like, a big thing that we always talk about with our students, and I'm noticing this is now that I'm starting to teach outside again, is that they have to learn how to thump.
Yeah, you
Because
have
when
to
you think
push it.
about
And thumping
thumping,
means you're pushing down against the handle with your hands
Yes.
or in your claws, and you're applying pressure against the trailing edge of the heel.
Right, got it.
Right,
Okay,
exactly,
right
like
there.
here.
Yep,
Right.
got it.
And even if you start off with a lot of forward shaffling like this, and you're set up to hit the like leading edge of the heel, you still want to twist back and try to thump the trailing edge, because the reverse effect will basically allow you to make proper contact always, where a lot of people, when they put the ball back and they forward press the hands, they hit the shot too chunky in a sense,
Dig.
because they're not allowing the twist to happen, or they're pushing down against the front of the handle, like in the leading edge of the golf club, because they're pushing down too steep, and then they take this nasty crater divot that hurts
We've
so
seen
bad.
it.
It
It
shocks you
jars the
from
body.
from claws
Like-
to like head to feet.
It's like being electrocuted.
And it totally is.
Yeah. So other end of the spectrum now, let's go Jason Day. Like,
Yeah.
shout out Jason Day. Like, I mean, he's went through a lot. I mean, he hasn't won in 5 or 6 years or something. Yeah, he's really had a big resurgence in the last couple of years, and good for him. And his claws are money. Let's talk about him a little bit.
So he has
Yeah.
a neutral to strong lead hand.
A little shorter thumb.
Yeah, he has perfect pinches as far as like the shorter thumbs.
Right.
So, and that's probably why he goes neutral to strong, which is exactly what I do too.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
Right. So, when you go with trail palm to lead thumb knuckle, he's doing the same thing. They're matching perfectly. So he has basically
he's
both
pushing
V's
so
pointing in
hard.
between his trail ear and his trail shoulder.
Yeah, and he's applying a lot of pressure with that trail palm to lead
Correct.
thumb. You can see him like when
It's
he's
not
setting
like
up to the
this.
ball.
Yeah, it's more like this and
Yeah,
then this.
exactly. Like we said in the last couple episodes, it's all about how you're pushing down on that lead thumb knuckle with the fingers up,
Correct.
fingers back, and then a
Mhm.
little bit of twist.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he
then-
actually talked about when we're talking about that lead thumb and how important it is. So he said that basically he had like a bad thumb injury,
Mhm.
and he felt like his career was going to be over because of how much importance he put into that stability of that lead thumb, like on the club.
Mhm.
And I think we should talk about that a little bit, because if like he basically thought his career was going to be over if he couldn't support his swing, that tells you right there, like, wow, he thinks that's very important, and so do we with all of our testing. I mean,
Right.
we put a sensor there.
Yeah,
on our
no
smart
kidding.
grip.
I mean, the whole
Very
thing with the
important.
entire golf swing is that your thumbprints basically on the handle are what can give you your security against the handle throughout the swing, but allow you to lever, lag, and release the golf club with control. So that's where, again, like it can be like you can just change your thumb positioning a little bit on the handle, and it will make a huge, drastic like change to your move, even if you were trying to still do like the same body movements and everything club, right? So basically, we want to make sure that when you think about the thumb prints, like the actual entirety of the thumb,
Like if they wanted, if you committed a crime and they wanted your DNA,
You're
they
putting
could
your
get out of your
stamp on the
grip.
grip, and you want to make sure it's on like from the top part here where the super stroke is. That's 12 o'clock to like 3 o'clock is the like range. But typically between 12 o'clock and around 2 o'clock is the like perfect zone.
So 3
which is
o'clock's
going to
right
be
here?
like, so 3 o'clock would be like here. That'd
Okay,
be like
gotcha.
real strong.
Okay.
But we'll say like right here, the 230, and then trill palm against lead thumb knuckle. And then with the trill thumb, the inside part here of the trill thumb, because you get the perfect notch, is basically kind of pointing in the exact same direction back here at the 230 position, which is in between trail ear and trail shoulder.
And with the trail hand, it's not the entire thumb on the grip like it is with the lead
No,
hand.
it's not like this. It's not
the
like you're
half.
pressing it down like that.
Yeah.
It's the inside of the thumb.
Got it. So
Right,
it's that
because you have the
little
notch.
that little saddle.
That's
that we
right,
talk
which is the
about.
notch. Getting your curls, your extension, your pinches, everything,
Gotcha.
and then boom, there we go.
Gotcha. And so when we talk about just the overall like importance of this, you do a lot of things, and I've seen you do this with your students a lot, where you'll have them just set the handle forward, just do lead hand only, and just really feel that lead thumb, just like controlling
yeah,
the
because
entire
you have to
move.
get the lead thumb. If you get it in the notch and you got your pinky pad, your curls properly doing what they're supposed to,
Yeah.
you get the twist back, then you hold the twist, you push with the pinky pad, and then you allow the thumb to push, and then basically control. It's like the thumb is controlling the toe, like the top edge of the toe, and the pinky pad is controlling like the inside part of the heel. So when you take those back, it's like you're controlling those 4 points and you're just trying to twist back, then hold the twist back and push. And if you're leaning left, like that's one thing with lead hand only swings, is that you
Gotta
should
be
have a little
preset.
weight left and a
Yeah.
little bit of even also pre-close, because that way you don't have to like physically try to like change your move much.
Oh, got it. So it keeps the handle like
If you're
going down the line.
Yeah, if you're neutral
Got
trying to do it, like handle neutral, body neutral, everything
Good
neutral
luck.
and doing it, it can be difficult. So anyway.
Okay, cool. Nice. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I like that a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how you can basically use, if you get these claws like kind of placed on the handle properly, you can use them to control like the face to perfection. And that's our big thing here at Claw, right? We talk about like hand to handle the face. But like Jonathan just said, he's thinking about literally just his lead hand with pinky pad to like notch, and then just applying the proper pressure with that to the handle to get the proper like reaction. It's like you're trying to get the reaction of the face to do a certain thing. It's like, okay, cool. Just use this. You don't have to think
It's that-
about like all these crazy. I see so many coaches where they're teaching like with short game, and they're teaching their students to like the body is the engine and just like pull the handle left. And it's like, it's unnecessary. Like
Right.
get the forward press, get the lead thumb on the side, twist, and then just push and thump. Yeah. Because we've seen a lot of coaches where they teach like pull the handle left and use the body, and
Oh, of course.
it's not
yeah,
good.
Yeah, the whole thing, like, I've been telling Ethan, like, when I've been playing golf lately, is like when I connect my claws to the club, like, you can feel the face in your hands in a sense, meaning, like, when I have my claw pressure points, I can feel exactly where the face is at, whether it's like if I start off and I want to hit a draw or like more of a hook, right? I'll have more forward shaft lean, the face delofted, and I'll grip the club like this, and I can feel it in my hands. I can feel the face where the handle is.
Yes.
And then if I want to hit more of my fade, it's like I have the face a little bit more open, a little left shaft lean. And it's like I can feel it in my hands. But then when I hit the golf ball, like I have to keep that feeling. The increases of everything is going to change everything a little bit. But when I fully extend my trail arm from bent to straight, from pre to post impact, keep my trail wrist cupped, then I feel that point of impact. Like when I basically bottom out the golf club in front of the golf ball and the divot starts, that's when you feel back to that neutral. And everything has been released that has, changed in a sense dynamically with like the up, back, the twist, and around.
You're always pushing.
Yeah.
Always pushing.
But that gets you back to that point, but it's in front of the golf ball. The golf club should not be bottoming out at the golf ball.
No.
It should be in front of the golf ball unless you're hitting driver, which we'll talk about ball position and tilt soon.
Right, exactly.
Of how that changes that part.
And that's kind of a good segue into like what we've been working on a lot with our students. Is that they're having like a lot of these low point issues. And the quickest fix for that, I mean, obviously get the claws right. But then from there, what's the most common reason that people are hitting behind the ball, do you think?
So the most common reason is because their weight is not on their lead foot enough and staying there throughout the swing. And then from there, typically trying to pre-close and properly rotate the body around that point. So it's like the lead foot is the pivot point, the lead heel, okay? The trail side of the body works around it and tilt and turn. And when we look at like what we're doing with our claws, we're pushing down, we're doing like our push, pull, twist, whatever around that to ride the 45. But it's like, that stake in a sense where it's not moving at all is basically through your lead heel to the ground, and that never again moves throughout your swing. Because as soon as it moves, then everything is disrupted.
Yeah.
It's like if you had a calculation like on a computer of your moves as you go back, it's like as soon as that foundation moves, all of a sudden there's like this weird conflict in the code where it's like, wait a minute, these things can't like consistently do what they need to anymore because it's moving. Like that can't move. That's like your door.
Right.
And actually one of my lessons this last week, I met with one of my old students and I always use a door analogy for him. And I always talked about how it's like the lead side of your shoulder to your hip to your foot is like your hinge. And you're just opening up the door, which is the trail side of your body, and your hand, arm, and the club around it. So you open it up good. And then from the top, you leave it open. And then you try to basically release your hands and arms to left field for his left, because he's a lefty. And then for righties, it's right field. And just try to stick your finish. And he's like, this is what I was missing. After we had a little bit of lapse in time getting back together. Yeah.
And that's such a common thing that people mess up is that like we say, like we're teaching like the claws and the functional
Right.
unit and getting all this right. But if your body's not supporting your functional
Right.
unit,
And a door is a
then,
perfect way to
and I
think about
love
it because there
that.
has to be a hinge. And the
Correct.
hinge doesn't
Exactly.
move. It
Right.
doesn't move lateral.
Right.
It only moves in one way and it works around it with the trail side. So that's how really when you think about how the trail hand works relative to the lead hand and arm, it's the same thing. So it's how the trail hand and arm and the trail side of the body works relative to the lead side of the
Yes.
body.
Correct.
It's all one as far as your hinge.
Yeah, and that's what that's what I'm noticing a lot. Like I'm going through a big swing change right now for myself, and I was just having like really bad problems with like low point control, not getting the proper gear effect at the
Hmm.
bottom. Like my head was moving too much. I was getting like too much neck tilt. It was just a lot of things, and I'll pull up a screenshot because I'll actually show you just like a before and after, and it's on my Ethan Bramble Golf on my IG as well. But yeah, a big thing was is that my trail hand. So if I like get into my setup here, my trail hand was getting like under on the side, like we talk about. But we talk about how your trail palm needs to push down on the lead thumb and also on the side. But the problem was is that I was so on the side, but I wasn't getting like down on that lead thumb knuckle enough. So I wasn't getting enough of this movement. So the problem was is that because of the not having that downward pressure, is that my trail arm and my trail hand were just kind of floating in the backswing. And then the Jonathan kept telling me, he's like, you're lifting to the top. I'm like, I feel like I'm pushing like so well and like pulling, but because I wasn't getting this like proper connection here with trail palm to lead thumb knuckle, when I started my like backswing, I wasn't actually creating the proper like pivot point here for like my like club to work around my
Hmm.
body
That's
to
it.
get my trail shoulder and trail
Right.
arm. So really like the effect of not getting the proper like trail hand pushing against lead thumb knuckle was affecting my pivot point in the takeaway, which was causing my hands and arms to float too much to the top,
Hmm.
which was causing my head to move too much laterally, which was causing my trail arm to fold too early, which was making my swing too narrow on the downswing.
Yep.
It's like, the list goes on and
Yeah,
on. But
sliding
now,
his knees. There's more
yeah,
things, but yeah,
but
he's just
it's
trying. What
unreal.
we're trying to basically just really say is just
It's a 5 for
the
1
effects
thing.
of if you get your claws on right. It's like he had his claws on right, but the thing is like he wasn't
Push
utilizing them right in the pressures like throughout the swing. And
right.
that's what's cool about the claws is like once you understand how to activate them properly throughout the swing, the way that you utilize your claws to perfection will be a little different from maybe your friend or something
Yeah.
in a sense because it's like once you activate them you'll find then the best way for you to repeat them but you
Right.
have to like get trained on what perfect claws are, which is what we're going to give you, and
Yes.
that's it. And
Correct.
it's like once you get like the universal claws then again you can do anything with them. And
And I feel like for me, I'm almost trying to go through a phase right now similar to DJ where my first move is literally just like
yeah,
locking my arms and just like getting that trail palm just glued against my lead thumb
right.
knuckle. I feel like from here, I'm just setting my trail hand like this.
Mm-hmm.
And now at the top of the swing, it just allows me to kind of push against that lead thumb knuckle. If we look at like this before and after, I'll pull up the graphic here. And you can see, the trail palm is pushing against that lead thumb knuckle so much more on my new swing. It's only a month difference,
Right.
but it's crazy how by getting the trail palm, and this is like the big reason I want to talk about this, is that because I'm pushing so well against my lead thumb knuckle, I'm now improving my shoulder tilt. I'm improving my head position, my shoulder rotation. I'm improving how my trail arms working in the backswing, my gear effect at the bottom, my lower body stability because I was getting so much slide because my upper body was moving so much in the backswing. Like it's by just focusing my attention on this one thing, it's fixed almost everything that I was doing wrong. And that's why we really just want you to understand when we say, like, just get your trail palm connected to your lead thumb knuckle properly and then understand how to use that trail hand to pivot around this pivot point of this lead thumb, like we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like, that is 90% of it. Like,
Right.
and if you get your setup right with the presets and everything we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of
Yeah, that's it.
done.
Yeah. That's it. You
But
preset those things, then you got
man,
your little simple checklist. Because when you go out and play, you really should have like at most, you're gonna have one backswing thought and one follow through thought.
which I love.
So,
Yeah,
and that's what I've been telling all my students
me
too. It's like
too.
we take at the end of the lesson, like we construct everything. It's like, yeah, you got these things, you got your pre-swing checklist, boom, it's this. But then in swing, majority of everyone is basically using twist it a little bit when you go back, and then from the top, basically fast hands and punch and stick the finish.
I love, yeah.
And that's it. Because like fast hands from the top has been working really well on my students, because they're
Me
like,
too.
they keep like when they go to the top, they're always like trying to hold the trail side of the body back, but they're forgetting that their hands actually have to do something.
Right.
Because if they don't do anything, or they do their old move, it's kind of like they're lapsing. Where it's
Yeah.
like, if you get to the top, it's like, what are we trying to do from here? It's like, hold the body back, but it's like, but fast hands though.
Because
And
you got to
fast
activate the gear
hands
effect.
will help. Even if the body gets a little quick, it'll slow it down, because it's almost like the faster the hands go down and out from the top, the more it stalls the shoulders and hips, because the arms are actually moving forward and the shoulders and hips can only work so fast.
Because they move diagonally and okay, I get
because
what
they're
you're saying.
working. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, if your shoulders are still
Oh.
ripping open, like you might want to pre-close more, try to escalate your
Which is why we like the
changes.
pump drill.
Correct. The pump drill's great. I
It's the
used that when I
best.
played last like Sunday, and it was so awesome.
You've
because
been playing good.
Oh, I played.
You'll see
Honestly, I've
soon.
never hit the golf ball that good in 9 holes in my life, and I'm not joking.
Let's go.
It was so good.
We're gonna have some good matches. I'm
but
excited.
the one
Stay
thing-
tuned for that, by the way.
Oh
we
yeah,
got a
for
lot
sure.
of
We have a lot
content
of
coming
outdoor
on
content.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
We're just getting into like the swing of things with our summer and everything here.
But yeah, my biggest keys was just like getting the claws perfect. And then I played around. Once I got my claws on the club, I played a fade predominantly. So the idea is that this course, had a lot of dog legs like left to right and stuff. So I'm
Concord
like, instead of
Hills.
trying to play a big sling right to left and try to do that, or even just like a little draw, let's just go with it, because I've been doing really good with pushing on the trill side of the club, letting the trill arm go from bent to straight. And the big thing that helped me a lot with this, because I hit the ball so well all day, like I actually didn't miss a fairway and didn't miss a green in regulation. But I just maximized my twist and my takeaway, keeping my notches pointing down, was pushing, of course, a little bit with the palms, getting the good push pull to the top. Also made sure that when I got to the top, I just gave it like a little hesitation from there, made sure my claws kind of like set in position. And then from there, it was like a little foot and knee move, and then just stick the finish with locked elbows. That was my big thing, is every practice swing I did, if maybe I felt like my first practice swing, I was a little bit steep, I'd do the next one, I'd do the pump drill. So I'd take it back like here, and I'd pump it down, try to get a little shallower, and then get my like thump on the trailing edge and get my body move with my locked elbows. But it was all about making sure I had this feeling when I finish with both hands and arms, max radial basically, and just making sure I'm supporting that low twist with the pump drill. So the
Nice.
pump drill goes so well with the locked elbows, because again, it helps with the shallowing of the golf club.
Yeah.
Everything in the golf swing we need is just about getting, in a
love it.
sense, a little shallower, supporting your twist and the thump of it against the trailing edge of the golf club, because that's what it controls and relates to. And then that helps us hit the ball higher, further, and with more of a consistent curvature.
And the shallower you come in, the harder you can hit down.
Yeah, that's
Right?
the other benefit. Yeah, it's like as soon as the face gets more shut, then there has to be like alterations with either the handle or the body to try to manipulate what's going on there, because the face, once it gets too closed, the game's over.
Right. Which is why there's such this fad right now where it's like shallow the club. And it's like, it's right, but it's just kind of being described
It's
like
like
a
this-
different way than
instead
what
of
we'd
like-
say. But
Yeah,
yeah.
like the best way to think of it is like the biggest fad with the golf swing is like shut the face and then open the face.
Right.
Where what we're telling you is open the face and basically allow the face to stay open,
Right. Exactly.
which is actually easier.
And then the natural gear effect is going to
Yes,
happen.
because bowing is not comfortable, extension is easy, twisting is more natural, and naturally creates more hand-arm speed. So for everyone out there that doesn't want to have to use their body as much to hopefully hit the ball further, this is the
This
way.
thing's like a screwdriver. Like if you imagine like the cylinder right here, the grip, like you're just like, this is a natural movement of the handle, the twist like
Right.
clockwise.
Right. Well, the other
So
the
just
cool
do
thing too
that
is
with
like,
the
yeah, if you
push.
get like the connection to the claws with the club vertical, it's weightless. Then you get the twist like this. And I mean, when you're over like even if you hold the golf club out in front of you and you're standing up and just like twist it back like Ethan showing like this, like get the toe to the ground, the club is weightless. Like
Right.
there's no effort here. And it's like you release it. Yeah, there's a little energy. Then it kicks back right back to here. And it's like, oh, it's weightless again. Like we're just basically allowing the club to work in the ways that it needs to,
Right.
meaning because twisting and up and down action and then the side to side, I mean, that's all that happens in the golf
Correct.
swing. So if you control it properly, the geometrics of what should happen in golf actually do apply.
You're just making your life so much easier, and we're
Right.
getting so much positive feedback. Thank you for all the support
Yeah.
and all the good comments we've been getting. And everybody's just like, oh my gosh, I just tried this and picked up 20 yards, 25 yards.
Right.
It's like, yeah, because you're kind of like unlocking the golf club. now. You know, instead of like before when people have like the bad grip or maybe the bowed wrist, you're almost like putting like a clamp on the club where it's like you're not really like letting it use its full potential that it wants to do with the twisting and the up and the back and the around.
Right.
This club head wants to work like around the handle and they'll work as a team. But yeah, if you just bow your wrist and just do this, then the club's just like, oh man.
It's true.
Like now
No,
I'm
it's
gonna
true.
maybe come in too
You
steep.
get half the
and,
effective gear effect of the golf club, actually.
yeah, and that's why I like what we were saying with the fast hands from the top. Is I'm really just having a ton of success with my people with that thought, because the trail arm doesn't get so narrow to the point where they don't get the trail arm going from bent to straight quick enough to get the gear effect activated to actually get the lag releasing. Because we have all of our people in good lever, good lag, but then it's like, come on, you got to release your lag.
That's why I've always been an advocate of saying that really you should teach the release first, and then it makes more sense of how to understand how to lever and lag the golf club. Explain like what the golf club does, like where's its end position, here's where it's at. Oh, how does it get there? Oh, it goes here. Oh, that's how you lever. Oh, how do you get there, like to the end result from that point? You lag it and then it releases to there. So backtracking the steps,
You're right.
because if you just try to lever, then lag, and then release the golf club, it's so much harder to understand like what you're really trying to do. It's kind of like if you imagine like casting a fishing pole and like you lever the, rod back and then you lag it and then you release it. And it's like, if you just understand like this effect, then it makes sense of this effect. But some people, they go back like this, and I've seen it, where they move their body and they hang on to their wrist and they just dump their like their bait right over the boat. And you're like, what are you doing? It's like they don't actually understand the release. It's like, so it's like if you just explain to them like, here's how we project. It's like, now here's what we do to get back, like with maximum lever to project it.
Correct.
Boom, there we go.
Love it.
Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And we're going to actually talk about this in a lot of our outdoor content coming soon, where we're going to just do some drills where we just kind of get to the proper post-impact position. And then we do this thing called sticking the finish. You've heard us talk about it before. But if you know like where you're trying to stick it with the parameters or where the hands, the handle, and the face need to be,
that's it.
Then
that's what
from
it means.
there you get to the top and we say stick your finish. It's easy to get fast hands because you're like, okay, fast hands to that destination.
The end zone.
There's the end zone. Exactly. Right. I love that. So that's actually going to be probably out of everything that we released this summer, one of the most beneficial things for your game.
For sure.
And if you listen to Jonathan and I with our content, sticking the finish is always said in every single lesson.
Oh, for sure.
So, we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. One thing that we're working on right now, too, you've seen us talk about this in Claw Labs. Looks like a planet. You've heard us talk about the claw ball. So this is version 3 of the claw ball. So walk us through this a little bit.
If you guys imagine, like last time we just had the ball, it was smaller even than this, right? So we decided...
Just the ball.
Correct. So we decided to add this bowl around it because I wanted fins for the claws, like for the curls like this. So this bowl basically allows me to wrap my curls around that. And when you see the next rendition that we already have done, that'll be coming this next week for our podcast, we created little slots for your fingers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I know, he didn't see it. So,
sweet.
But yeah, we did this, and that's going to also unify the claws, make them like the palm to palm or wrist to wrist, palm to palm relationship become a little closer. But it's going to give you more like control of the steering wheel, so it'll never feel like it's going to fall out of your hands. But it'll give you just more control to really lock in those claws. And we're going to also create little notches here for like the notches, basically.
Notches for your notches.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all coming soon. But this thing is so great, and the one thing I love about it is that because it's in a sphere like form, it's great for understanding the clockwise rotation and the backswing of the hands and arms in the club, and then the counterclockwise when you come through, because you have to keep pushing against this thing, so that keeps the like basic, like the foundation of the functional unit locked in with the locked elbows. Then you twist and you untwist. And I'm telling you, just doing that alone, it's a great workout. We're going to even put some weight in this thing. So it becomes one of the best training aids to help condition your hands and arms.
So if you look at it from this perspective right here from the user, so when I'm pushing, when I curl my fingertips around like these fins right here, it literally takes this middle portion right here and pushes. Because if you see like your hand kind of fits perfectly like rounded to it, when you curl your fingertips, it literally just takes both of your palms and just like sinks them into the middle of this thing. And then with those finger attachments, which I didn't know about, which is really cool. I'm super excited to see that. So yeah, this is going to be really cool. It feels like, hey, just driving a car.
Your steering wheel right there, man.
Yeah, like woo.
Yeah,
Just
totally.
joy riding. Yeah, work on lead hand only. Riding dirty.
Another thing we're gonna do is, I think one of the things we're gonna keep is this golf ball idea, just for Dimple's idea for one rendition. But we're also gonna do a club face too, and even off of this one, we're gonna still do a club face attachment here, and then one of them will just be an actual club shaft, like a short shaft with a club face coming out of it. So that way, it's like you can really see your golf club in your hand as well, so you understand the relationship to the face, not just like the golf ball in a sense, or the handle.
Yeah,
so.
I think Jeff was saying that he wanted to put the face like right there.
Yeah,
like
we could put like a fin here, but we also want to make like the second half here also like a shaft.
I'm excited. Yeah, this is cool. This is
a lot of cool things coming with this
Claw
thing.
Labs. So you're gonna see we're really active. We're gonna start really pushing out a lot of this stuff on like Twitter and YouTube and things like that. We're gonna do like a newsletter every week. But we're just gonna kind of give you guys a peek behind the scenes. Like, this is the stuff we're working on. Like, this isn't hidden at all. Like, it's open to the public to see. Like, we're constantly innovating, constantly trying to figure out ways to help everybody on the other side of the screen get better at golf, and that's our mission. We're on this mission right now, and we're having great success. We're really excited for the summer. Like, we're really going to be outside a lot with a lot of our content, and showing. I mean, this has been a huge hit with our students. We've got some footage that we're going to release very soon, just showing like kind of peeks into our lessons and things like that. And that's going to be really cool. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think we really need to show anything else. I feel like that's a lot to digest for everybody. Just really understand. Big thing we want you to take away from today is get your lead hand placed on the club properly, whether you go like DJ with longer thumb or shorter thumb like J-Day. And then from there, get your trail palm connected to your lead thumb knuckle so it can pivot around the lead hand pivot point. The lead hand is a pivot point, trail hand's pivoting around it. However well you push against that lead thumb with the trail hand determines how well your trail hand's going to pivot around it, how well your trail arm's going to move, how well the club's going to move. That's kind of what I'm going through in my swing, and I'm going to keep documenting all that. So stay tuned on our Instagram for all that. But yeah, it's exciting. We got some good momentum going right now. We're having a blast. We got a good team together right now with everybody. We just brought on a kid that's really helping a lot with editing as well, which is really, we're excited about that because I've been doing a lot of the editing. Yes, it's gonna take some load off my shoulders. And yeah, we're just getting started, like we always say. I mean, this is a long journey. And if you're here now, you're here early. And thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week.
Yep.